Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam.
Hello students, my name is Ishan Shanolikar and today we will be discussing economic system called mixed economy. Let us start with the objectives of our session. First, we define and explain the concept of mixed economic systems and understand how they combine elements of capitalism and socialism which we have studied earlier. Then we analyze the evolution of mixed economies from pure economic systems and pragmatic hybrid models. Next, we identify and describe the key characteristics and components that define mixed economic systems. Further, we understand the mechanisms through which mixed economic system balances market forces with government intervention. Further, we evaluate the role of both public and private sectors in mixed economies and their complementary functions. Next, we compare and analyze different models of mixed economies with real world examples from various countries. Further, we critically assess the advantages and disadvantages of mixed economic systems in addressing economic and social challenges, before finally concluding by examining contemporary models and understanding how mixed economies adapt to globalization, technological change and emerging challenges. Let us start with the introduction to mixed economic systems. A mixed economic system is a hybrid economic model that combines elements of both capitalist and socialist systems, incorporating free market mechanisms alongside significant government intervention and public sector participation is one characteristic. This system recognizes that neither pure capitalism nor pure socialism alone can effectively address all economic and social needs in the modern societies. Mixed economies emerged as pragmatic solutions to the limitations observed in both capitalist and socialist economic systems during the 20th century. They seek to harness the efficiency and innovation of free markets while addressing market failures through government intervention and public provision of essential services. For BBA students particularly, understanding mixed economies is crucial because virtually all modern developed countries operate in some form of mixed economic system. The mixed economy model recognizes that markets excel at functions such as allocating consumer goods and fostering innovation, while government intervention is necessary for providing public goods, correcting market failures and addressing income inequality. Mixed economies are characterized by the coexistence of private enterprise and government ownership, competitive markets and economic planning, profit motives and societal and social objectives. The flexibility of mixed economic systems has made them dominant in the world as a dominant model worldwide, and to adapt to changing economic conditions while maintaining political stability and democratic institutions is one such characteristic which is very important of mixed economic system. Let us now look at historical evolution and key characteristics. The evolution of mixed economies has been shaped by a series of historical events and shifts in economic thinking, highlighting the dynamic balance between market forces and government intervention. Let us look at these different types of mixed economic systems. First was the progressive era reforms, which is seen from late 19th century to early 20th century. In response to the social and economic inequalities caused by rapid industrialization and unregulated capitalism, many nations, especially in the West, began introducing reforms. These included labor protections, antitrust laws, consumer safety regulations, and public education. The goal was to curb the excess of industrial capitalism while preserving the productive capacity. This era laid the groundwork for government's growing role in regulating markets and ensuring social welfare. Then the Great Depression in 1930s. The catastrophic economic collapse of the 1930s exposed the limitations and volatility of laissez-faire capitalism. With massive unemployment, banking failures, and collapse in demand, governments, most notably the United States under President Franklin, introduced large-scale public interventions like the New Deal. This marked a turning point, demonstrating the need for active government involvement to stabilize the economy, support employment, and provide a social safety net. Further, we have the post-World War II consensus, that is 1945 to 1970s. In the decades following World War II, many developed nations embraced a form of Keynesian economics combining market-driven growth with strong government oversight and welfare systems. This period, sometimes called as the golden age of capitalism, featured robust economic growth, rising living standards, and the expansion of social programs such as healthcare, education, and public housing. Mixed economies became the dominant model in Western democracies. Further, we move to contemporary adaptation, that is from 1980s till present. From the 1980s, the rise of globalization, technological innovation, and neoliberal policies led to a rebalancing towards market mechanisms. However, governments continued to play key roles in education, infrastructure, innovation, and social protection. As new challenges emerged, such as climate change, income inequality, and global financial integration, mixed economies began to adapt, blending deregulation and privatization with selective state intervention. Looking at the case of 2008 global financial crisis, the collapse of major financial institutions and the ensuing global recession exposed deep flaws in under-regulated financial markets. Governments around the world intervened with large-scale stimulus packages, bailouts, and monetary easing to stabilize the economy. This crisis renewed appreciation for the stabilization function of government and reaffirmed the relevance of mixed economies in managing systemic risks and protecting public welfare. Now let us look at the key characteristics of this economic system. First is dual ownership structure. Both private and public ownership of productive assets coexist. Private entities dominate consumer goods and services while government owns utilities, infrastructure, and strategic industries. Next, we have market mechanisms with regulation. Markets operate freely with government regulation, ensuring fair competition, consumer protection, and financial stability. Further, the feature is progressive taxation and redistribution. Higher earners pay higher tax rates, funding public services and social programs that address inequality while maintaining work incentives. Next, we also observe social safety nets. Comprehensive systems provide unemployment insurance, healthcare coverage, and poverty assistance, protecting individuals from economic risks while maintaining labor market flexibility. Further, looking at the macroeconomic management, governments actively manage economic conditions through fiscal and monetary policies to reduce volatility and maintain stable growth. Another feature is public-private partnerships. These combine government oversight with private sector efficiency in delivering infrastructure and services. Let us now look at the balancing market forces and government intervention. The success of mixed economies depends on achieving appropriate balance between market mechanisms and government intervention. First, we have the market-led sectors. So, consumer goods, retail services, manufacturing, and entertainment operate with minimal government intervention beyond basic regulation. Competitive pressures drives innovation, efficiency, and consumer responsiveness. Next, we have the government intervention areas. Focus on market failures including public goods such as defense, infrastructure, natural monopolies such as utilities, services with positive externalities such as education and healthcare, and long-term investments, for example research and environmental protection. Next, we have regulatory framework. Antitrust laws prevent monopolies, financial regulations ensure stability, and environmental standards protect resources. Further, labor laws protect workers while preserving competitive dynamics. For a mixed economy, there is also dynamic adjustment. The balance evolves with changing conditions, technological developments, which require new regulations. Economic crisis may justify temporary intervention increases, and social values shift public-private boundaries. These are all typical things that are observed in a mixed economy. Now let us move to the public and private sector roles in this economic system. Public sector functions includes areas that are dominated where competition generates efficient outcomes, excels at innovation, consumer responsiveness, resource allocation, and employment generation. It also provides employment for most workers and generates tax revenue, funding public services. Now looking at the public sector functions, these are the ones that focus on market inadequacies and social priorities. They also provide public goods, services with positive externality, economic stabilization, market regulation, and social protection. They also maintain strategic industries and regulate natural monopolies. Let us now look at the complementary relationships. Public education creates skilled workforces for private businesses. Private taxes fund public services, and public infrastructure supports business activity, while private innovation creates public sector efficiency opportunities. Public-private partnerships combine strengths of both the sectors. Now let us look at the models of mixed economies. First, we have Nordic model, which include the countries such as Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. Comprehensive welfare states with competitive markets are observed over here. High tax rates such as 40 to 60% of GDP fund universal services while maintaining strong private sectors and innovation rates. Social market economy, which is generally observed in Germany. This balances free markets with worker protections, features strong unions, worker board representation, comprehensive social insurance, and government economic coordination. Then we have Anglo-Saxon with social elements, which is observed in UK, Canada, and Australia. Relatively free markets with substantial public sectors, particularly healthcare and education. Lower taxes than Nordic countries but comprehensive safety nets. Further, we also have East Asian development state, which are observed in South Korean and Japanese economies. Strong government guidance is observed with market mechanisms. Government provides strategic direction and industry support while private companies compete globally. Next, we have European continental, which is observed in France and Netherlands. Extensive government involvement with market mechanisms are observed here. Large public sectors, strong labor protections, active industrial policies with competitive private sectors are seen. Then we also have emerging market mix, that is Brazil and India, which are emerging economies and developing models addressing development challenges while integrating globally. This features growing private sectors with government development involvement. Transitional mixed economic system, that is China and Vietnam are typically following this, where socialist political systems with extensive market mechanisms are seen. State enterprises along with private businesses within government oversight frameworks operate. Now let us quickly go through the key advantages and disadvantages of mixed economic system. So the advantages include economic efficiency with social welfare, flexibility and adaptability, innovation with stability, income distribution, market failure correction, democratic legitimacy, for which you can read through and you can understand how these advantages fit the economic system. Now let us look at certain disadvantages of this system. First is complexity. Next, government failure, high tax burden, political interference, regulatory burden, and so on. Now let us move to contemporary examples and global trends before concluding the session. So if we look at the current adaptations, then mixed economies are evolving through digital transformation requiring new tech, regulation, climate change response through carbon pricing and green investments, and pandemic responses demonstrating government economic support capabilities. Digital economy integration. Countries develop frameworks for platform regulation, data privacy and AI governance while promoting innovation. If we look at the global challenges, then growing inequality renews focus on social mobility policies including universal basic income debates and wealth taxation. Considering the future trends, technological disruption requiring new skills and regulation, environmental challenges and needed coordinated responses, and challenging and changing work patterns require new social protocols and protections will continue shaping mixed economic evolution. Looking at the business implications, companies must navigate changing regulatory environments while contributing to social and environmental solutions. So overall, if we conclude the session, then mixed economic systems have become the dominant global model by offering practical solutions combining market efficiency with government intervention to address market failures and social needs. The diversity of approaches demonstrates flexibility in balancing these elements based on cultural values and development objectives. For BBA students, understanding this diversity is crucial for global business success. As mixed economies continue evolving in response to technological change, environmental challenges and social expectations, future business leaders must navigate both market competition and government regulation while contributing to ongoing system development. The ability to balance profit objectives and social responsibility and adapt to changing and challenging policy environments will be essential for business successes in mixed economy contexts. I hope you understood and enjoyed the session. Thank you so much.